Hello, my beautiful souls. So, I was doing some introspection here a while ago, and I had this realization that sometimes, or maybe even most of the time, take your pick. It could be different for everyone, but let's take it with sometimes for now, okay? Take it as it fits for you. Sometimes we need to we need to learn to trust in the unknown. So, what I mean by that is that most people have this tendency to always feel like they have to always have a plan, always be prepared, always have a strategy, and always have a backup plan, right? That's how most people operate with their minds, the way people go on about however they live, because that's what makes you feel safe. But what if feeling safe is not gonna always bring you what you want and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish? So I'm starting to, especially lately now that I've been doing a lot of introspection and looking at my own life and things that have happened for me, that it's kind of like it's all about that leap of faith, right? The leap of faith that most people are never willing to take because they have this fear of not knowing what the outcome is going to be. And the thing is, just because you don't know what the outcome is going to be, what the outcome is going to be, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be okay. It doesn't mean that things are not going to work out. There are a lot of things that are happening in the background of certain circumstances that we are really not aware of, especially when it comes down to the spiritual side of things. So, sometimes you're like, you're doing the work, you're being, being yourself, doing all the right stuff, all of these things, but somehow you still doubting yourself to some extent. And that's not going to be very helpful. And it may also slow down things for you when it comes down to a lot of things. So the right way to deal with things like this always is you have to have that trust, but it's not about thinking that you're trusting. It's about you have to feel that stuff. I've said that in prior videos before. You gotta feel. It's all about how you feel about things. Because when you're feeling, that's when you're connecting to Source, God, whatever you want to call it. So you have to trust Source that you are being watched over, you're being taken care of, and there's a whole thing that's being planned for you behind the scenes that you may not be aware of, that hasn't yet manifested down here on a physical level. But just because certain things haven't happened yet, it doesn't mean that you should, lose your hope, lose your faith, lose your, ability to keep doing what you were doing and keep moving forward. Because once you stop doing that, then obviously, you're diminishing your chances of anything that you're trying to accomplish of happening for you in your life. Whatever it is that you're looking for, that applies to everything. Everything. And sometimes, like I said, this trust in the unknown might be the best thing that you can possibly do to be able to get to where you want to get. Have you ever thought about that? And look, I'm not here telling you that it's wrong to try and be prepared and try to have some sort of plan or whatever, or be fearing things. Yeah, you're gonna fear, but just because you're afraid, it doesn't mean that that fear should hold you from doing certain things. Learn how to process that fear on a healthy manner. Because if you let fear take over, then yeah, you're gonna be in this state of paralysis and you're just not gonna do anything because you're afraid of doing things. So it's not about, not so much not being afraid, but more so because everybody's gonna process things differently, right? Some people might have a hard time with ignoring fear altogether, or letting go of fear when they really need to do that. And if that is the case with some people, it's okay, as long as you learn how to process that in a healthy way, that it won't be holding you from taking risks and doing certain things sometimes in your life, and that's gonna be the thing, that's gonna be exactly the thing that you need to do to be able to get you where you want. So yeah, sometimes that leap of faith might be the best thing you've ever done. And then later on, everything starts to work out, and all these things happen, and then you're gonna be like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And that's what I mean by saying, there are things happening sometimes that we are not aware of it. We may not notice it, but just because we're not noticing it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Because when you are connected to the divine, and you're always, you know, asking for guidance, looking looking for where to go and all these things, you're gonna you you will get answered. And sometimes the answer may not come as crystal clear as you think it will. And that's what I mean by trusting the unknown. Trust that whatever you set in motion, whatever you're trying to do, and feel, that you're gonna make it. You're gonna do it. And these energies and these forces and all these things that are surrounding you that you may not be aware of, they are there the whole time, guiding your way, giving you hints, showing you things. And then, stuff is gonna end up happening at some point. Sometimes we gotta learn how to be a little patient. I know it's easier said than done, but still, I have that issue myself. That's why I'm talking about this. Sometimes, patience pays off. Being patient pays off. It's just that we're so used to like going on about our lives, moving way too fast. Sometimes trying to put the carriage in front of the horses, right? And it's not gonna work that way. And that's pretty much it. All it is. We have to learn how to trust. Sometimes trust the unfolding of events that life is bringing on about to you. Things are happening, even though you may not know, you may not see, but things are happening. And you have to learn how to trust the process, feel that you are protected, you are being listened to, and you're gonna be fine. I'm just here to not only remind myself, but anyone who comes across this, that it's going to be okay. That's one of the beautiful things about being alive. Not always knowing what is going to happen, but knowing that whatever does happen is going to be the right thing, the right window of opportunity, the right circumstance, scenario for you to get to where you want to get. I just saw 333 on the timer there, if that means anything for anyone. But really, this is all I wanted to talk. This is all I wanted to emphasize here. That's what we have to learn how to do sometimes. It's trust the unknown. Understand that just because you don't know how things are going to turn out sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing things the wrong way, or that you're not being heard or being taken care of, because Source, God, they always have a plan for you, and you gotta trust in that with your heart, your mind, and your soul. And this is all I wanted to talk about, my friends. So I'm gonna leave this one here. I love you all. And I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.